Good day, everyone. I am Maureen Lauzon, and today I'm going to present my special topic on whales. This presentation is divided into 5 parts. First, I will discuss whale taxonomy. Second, their distinguishing group traits. Third, the whale species present in the Philippines. Fourth, whale spatial distribution. And for the fifth, I will discuss the whale adaptive structures and mechanisms. Whales are from the class Mammalia. They belong to the infraorder Cetacea of the order Artiodactyla. Cetaceans are derived from artiodactyls, the hoofed mammals, but branched off from 50 million years ago. Furthermore, cetaceans comprise of whales, porpoises, and dolphins, but in this report we will only focus on whales. There are two kinds of whales, the one that belongs to the suborder Mysticeti are known as baleen whales, while members of the order Odontoceti are the toothed whales. There are 4 baleen whale families. First is family Balaenidae, which are commonly known as right whales or bowhead whales. This family is comprised of 2 extant genera, namely Eubalena and Balena. Second is family Neobalaenidae, which are commonly known as pygmy right whales. Caperea is the only extant genus in this family. Third is family Eschritidae, which are commonly known as gray whales. Eschritius is the only extant genus in this family. Fourth is family Balenopteridae, which are commonly known as rorquals. This family has 2 extant genera, namely Balenoptera and Megaptera. Likewise, there are 4 toothed whale families. First is family Physeteridae, which are commonly known as sperm whales. Physeter is the only extant genus in this family. Second is family Cogidae, which are commonly known as pygmy right whales. Kogia is the only extant genus in this family. Third is family Monodontidae, which are commonly known as Arctic whales. This family has 2 extant genera, namely Delphinapterus and Monodon. Fourth is family Ziphidae, which are commonly known as beaked whales. This family has 6 extant genera, namely Tasmacetus, Berardius, Indopacetus, Mesoplodon, Ziphius, and Hyperoodon. In the Philippines, whales are commonly called as ballena. Tagalogs also refer to whales as bungangiso. Meanwhile, people in Visayas commonly call sperm whales as ambuhutan, while bride's whales are called bongkaras. Lastly, Boholanos call blue whales as bughaw. Now let us move on to the distinguishing group traits of whales. Baleen whales differ from toothed whales as they have baleen instead of teeth. They are generally larger in size, have 2 blowholes as opposed to 1. Female baleen whales are also larger than males, which is the opposite in toothed whales. And lastly, baleen whales have throat pleats, which are absent in toothed whales. Nonetheless, they still have a lot in common. All whales are streamlined, have warm blood, some hair, blubber, flippers instead of limbs, horizontal tails called flukes, a dorsal fin, small eyes, internalized genitalia, mammary glands, perform live birth, and have lungs. In Figure 1, it shows the body parts of a baleen whale, while Figure 2 is the toothed whale. Despite having differences like the cone-shaped teeth in toothed whales instead of baleen in baleen whales, they still look similar as they have similar body parts. Now here we can see the actual pictures of the 2 types of whales. On the left is an example of a baleen whale, while on the left is an example of a toothed whale. Now for whale ecology. Both baleen and toothed whales appear in marine environment. However, there are species of toothed whales that are present in fresh water. Baleen whales filter feeds, while toothed whales actively predates. Filter feeders, uh, as filter feeders, baleen whales feed on plankton, krill, and small fishes. Meanwhile, toothed whales as active predators feed on small fishes, big fishes, crustaceans, sharks, birds, and other marine mammals such as their own kind of whales. Also, both whales produce whale sounds, however, only toothed whales produce can perform echolocation. And lastly, baleen whales prefer smaller groups, meanwhile toothed whales appear in large groups of whales. Now let us talk about the whales present in the Philippines. For baleen whales, only one family is present, and that is family Balenopteridae. The first one is Balenoptera musculus verbicausa, or the pygmy blue whale. It is a subspecies of the blue whale. It differs from the true blue whale as it can only grow 19 to 22 meters, while a true blue whale can grow up to 30 meters. The second species is Balenoptera physalus, or the fin whale, and the third species is Megaptera novaeangeli, which is the humpback whale. Now, for the toothed whales, we will first mention the members of the superfamily Physeteroidea, which is comprised of family Physeteridae and Coggidae. The first species present is from family Physeteridae, which is the Physeter macrocephalus, or the sperm whale. For the family Coggidae, we have Coggia brachyceps, which is the pygmy sperm whale, and also the Coggia sima, which is the dwarf sperm male. The third toothed whale family present in Philippine waters is family Ziphidae. We have first the Indo-Pacetus pacificus, or the longman's beaked whale. Second is Mesoplodon densirostris, which is the Blainville's beaked whale. And lastly, Ziphius caverostris, which is Cuvier's beaked whale. Moving on, let us now discuss the spatial distribution of whales. On the screen is the spatial distribution of the family Balaenidae, or the bowhead whales and right whales. Members from this family live in temperate and polar waters and are usually non-migratory. The next family is from family Neobalaenidae, or the pygmy right whales. Pygmy right whales are found in the cold temperate waters of the southern hemisphere. The third baleen family is family Escherichidae, or the gray whales. These gray whales were once found in the Atlantic. However, they are now extinct in the area. Currently, they are only found in the northern Pacific coast. Furthermore, gray whales are migratory and have the longest migration periods than any other mammals. The fourth and last baleen family is family Balenopteridae, or the rorquals. The blue, fin, humpback, and sei whales are rorquals that are distributed worldwide. On the other hand, Bride's whale and Eden's whale are only found in the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Ocean. Lastly, minke whales are confined only in polar waters. Furthermore, rorquals are migratory. They are known to stay in polar waters during summertime, a time where krill and plankton are abundant. Then they migrate to tropical waters during the winter time to breed. Now let us move on to the toothed whales. The first is family Physeteridae, or the sperm whales. They are distributed worldwide, making them cosmopolitan whales. Also, they are usually found in deep oceans. Second family is the family Cogidae or the pygmy sperm whales. Like the true sperm whales, pygmy sperm whales are cosmopolitan. However, they do not inhabit polar waters. Third family is family Monodontidae or the Arctic whales. As their name suggests, they are confined in Arctic waters. However, they can also be found in the Atlantic. Lastly, the family Xiphidae or the beaked whales are widespread. They can be found in both north and south poles and in the equator. They are usually found in offshore waters with at least 300 meters of depth. We are now in the last part of this report, the adaptive structures and mechanisms. As mentioned earlier, whales are part of the order Artiodactyla. However, they branched off. They modified their body structure to adapt living in a medium. Hence, they have streamlined bodies for efficient swimming. Their usual forelimbs were modified into flippers to help in steering. Hind limbs are reduced and the genitalia are internalized in order to avoid drag when swimming. Their tail, the fluke, is horizontally placed, which is good for optimized up and down propulsion. They have a flexible rib cage and collapsible lungs to avoid damage whenever diving. And lastly, they have a extra large layer of fat, known as blubber, to remain buoyant in water. Speaking of blubber, blubber is a milky white fat underneath a whale's skin. It can be as thick as 80 centimeters and often makes more than half of the whale's total body weight. It keeps whales afloat, which is important since whales are air breathers. Furthermore, blubber is a great insulator for whales in colder regions. It also acts as a food reserve and provide energy for the whale during times of food scarcity. However, not all parts of the whale are covered in blubber. Areas such as the fins, flippers, and the fluke are bare from blubber and act as thermal windows. Thermal windows in whales are important as they shed off excess heat when in warmer waters. When in warmer waters, fast swimming, during pregnancy, and other activities that may cause a whale to overheat. Despite living in cold waters, whales can maintain their temperature. This is due to their counter-current heat exchanger system. The purpose of these counter-current heat exchangers is that they make sure that the heart is only pumped with warm blood to prevent it from getting shocked. It also is a great way to prevent heat loss. So what happens during counter-current heat exchanging? Heat transfer across membranes because arteries and veins are in close proximity. In this way, warm blood from the heart also warms up the blood that came from the extremities that is on the way to be pumped back to the heart. Another adaptive mechanism that whales do is migration. What is migration? It is the seasonal travel of a group of organisms from one location to another, which is usually a response to fluctuations in temperature. Which whales migrate? All baleen whales migrate. Gray whales, right whales, humpback whales, and blue whales. But why do they migrate? Whales migrate during the summertime to colder waters as colder waters are abundant in plankton and krill during summertime. Meanwhile, whales migrate to tropical waters during the wintertime to breed as calves have a higher survival rate when bred in warmer waters. And lastly, it is also known that whales migrate to warmer waters to keep their skin healthy by molting. Next, we will talk about their specialized eyes. They may have small eyes, but their eyes have advantages. Their eyes are placed on both sides, making them having a two fields of view. They can also see in both dim and bright light as they have flattened eyeballs, pupils that can enlarge or shrink whenever light fluctuates, and lastly, they have a flattened cornea and tapetum lucidum, which helps in light control in the eyes. Now let us talk about sounding. What is sounding? Sounding is when a whale lingers near the surface of the water, performing short and shallow dives. This is done prior to the actual dive. So what is the purpose of sounding? It is for them to build oxygen reserves prior to the actual dive. In cetology, the study of whales and other cetaceans, a blowhole is the hole at the top of the head through which the animal breathes air. In baleen whales, these are in pairs. Meanwhile, in toothed whales, there is only one blowhole. It is homologous with the nostril of other mammals and evolved via gradual movement of the nostrils to the top of the head. It is used for breathing. The next adaptive structure and mechanism is in breathing is the increased lung capacity and large concentrations of myoglobin. Whale lungs can absorb oxygen with great efficiency, and this can pack 10 to 20 times more myoglobin into their cells than humans can. This, this allows them to store oxygen directly into their skeletal muscles and that can later on be used even when they are holding their breath. Moving on, let us talk about the feeding adaptive structure of baleen whales, the baleen plates. What are baleen plates? These are bristly plates inside of the mouths of baleen whales. They are made up of keratin, the same protein that makes up our fingernails and hair. They use this for feeding, in which they filter, sift, sieve, or trap the whale's favorite prey, such as shrimp like krill, plankton, and small fish from the sea. Now let us talk about their adaptive structure and mechanisms in communication. First is the whale songs and echolocation. What is whale songs? Or whale sounds? Rather, whale sounds are a variety of noises that whales use to communicate and socialize with each other. The three main types of sounds made by whales are clicks, whistles, and pulsed calls. Clicks are for echolocation, while whistles and pulsed calls are for identification or communication with other individuals within the pod. On the other hand, echolocation is only observed with toothed whales. Echolocation is the underwater navigation via the reflection of sounds. They are used for locating prey and are claimed to be used in communication between individuals. Now let us talk about bubble rings for foraging and communication. Whales release large quantities of bubbles in rings out of their blowholes in order to collect the food that they need for the day. Bubbles are also a visual cue that is especially effective in clear water. It makes a less sound than a vocalization. Whales may use them to send a signal without attracting the attention of predators. And lastly, let us talk about the strong bond between the mother and the calf. Whale mothers and their calves are known to have strong bonds, and it is mostly linked with their survival. After giving birth, whale mothers assist their calves to swim since their lungs are deflated and needs help from their mothers to reach the surface of the water to have their first breaths. Mothers also protect their young from danger and usually stay in tropical waters where predators are absent. They provide milk that is rich in fat that causes the calves to get bigger in size. It is also evident that whale mothers and their calves have a very emotional relationship. They are always together side by side during the calf's first year. It is also observed that the mothers with dead calves would remain protective and undergo depression, which make them easy to exploit by whalers. That is all. Thank you. Here are the references for this report.